growing here. And if I'm honest, there was a lot growing inside me too. Not all of it was clear. Not all of it was confident, but it was alive. I came out here most days to tend the garden, but really, I was tending myself, trying to understand what still belonged, what was evolving, what no longer fit the version of life I was quietly outgrowing. The garden didn't ask me to explain any of that. It just kept growing. Some days I harvested, some days I cleaned things up, some days I stood longer than I worked. And I used to wonder if that was a problem. I kept asking myself questions like, is this enough? Does this make sense to anyone but me? How does it fit into where I'm going, into what I'm building? I was trying to map meaning before trusting the moment. But the garden doesn't think in outcomes. It thinks in rhythm. It grows because it's time to grow. It rests because it's time to rest. It gives when it has something to give. And watching that, really watching it, started to soften something inside me. Because here I was surrounded by abundance and still wrestling with direction. Still trying to line up my life with labels like niche and strategy and what makes sense. Meanwhile, herbs were still ready, greens were full. Fruit didn't need a brand identity to ripen. It just needed presence. I realize now that this was a season of quiet recalibration. Not confusion, recalibration. I wasn't lost. I wasn't shedding urgency. Learning how to move without rushing myself into clarity. Learning how to let things exist before they're explained. This garden didn't need me to figure it out. It needed me to show up. To pick what was ready. To clear what had finished its purpose. To leave what still needed time. And somewhere between those small motions, snipping, gathering, adjusting, stepping back, my nervous system started to follow suit. I slowed down. I listened more. I stopped forcing meaning into moments that were still unfolding. Because not everything you live has to be content immediately. Not everything you create needs a destination before it exists. Some things are allowed to be lived first. This garden wasn't behind, and neither was I. I was simply living faster than I was sharing. And that's not failure, that's fullness. This was the season where things were good, even if I didn't know what they would become yet. Where the work was quiet, the harvests were small but steady. The days were simple, even if my thoughts weren't. And looking back now, I see it clearly. This was the before. Before the weather shifted, before things were tested, before I learned which roots were strongest. But I'm grateful I recorded this. Grateful I didn't discard it just because life kept moving. Because this version of the garden and this version of me deserves to be witnessed too. Not everything meaningful announces itself as a turning point. Some seasons only reveal their importance later. So this is me honoring where I was, honoring what was growing, honoring the calm before the change, because growth doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And sometimes the most important thing you can do is let the moment exist before it teaches you why it even mattered.